fill her up.
You've had enough.
Listen, sweetheart. You're here to pour drinks and look pretty. So how about you shut your mouth?
I'll bet you get the hell out of my bar.
Many would see the state of the Resident Evil series in the same manner as Chris Redfield in his intro, a shadow of its former self, drunk on its own self-fulfilled worth, empty and residing amongst the depravity that is sequel gaming. It's viewed by some as a sad state of affairs for a once exciting franchise, but is the hate justified, or are some gamers simply stuck in the past, unable to look beyond their personal preferences? To begin, gaming has changed a lot. Now it's very much big business, and as the hardware has improved, so has the cost of making the products. The problem lies in this very simple economic scale, in that developers are now gearing their products for mass acceptance, which if it means alienating core audiences, then so be it. The choices are simple. Make a game with limited appeal that is deemed cool by a handful of gamers, or make a game that annoys the few but generates far more sales from less particular consumers. And this is where Resident Evil 6 sits. Resident Evil 4 changed the pacing of the survival horror style, but still contained elements of its roots. It gained mainstream appeal and cemented the series as the go-to action horror game of its time. Resident Evil 5 built upon that, but it was obvious that Capcom's research suggested a wider range of gamers would gel with the less survival and more action horror approach, and considering the hardware allowed them to take this direction, it probably felt like a natural evolution, to the point where the series' trademark stop and shoot has given way to a traditional method of control. But let's consider the numbers though. Looking at Resident Evil 4 across the GameCube, PS2 and Wii versions, it sold around 7.5 million copies, compared to Resident Evil 3, which sold just under 4 million on the PlayStation. Finally, Resident Evil 5, which has sold around 8 million on consoles and PC, it's obvious the multi-format action gameplay has converted well into sales. So where does that leave fans of survival horror, which EA's Dead Space manages to capture very well? It seems that Resident Evil 6 wants to cater to a wide number of gaming tastes, but at the same time runs the risk of never fully appealing to any one group, aside from those who have broad expectations and tastes. For those looking for a return to the glory days, sadly this isn't going to happen unless someone somewhere decides to do a full-blown remake of the originals, which could happen one day. As a gamer, there are questions to ask oneself, with the main question being, will I enjoy Resident Evil 6 for what it is, as a piece of entertainment that may not offer the same elements that entice me to the series in the first place? The crux of the matter is, publishers need to make vast sums of money to pay for the development of games, and if that means evolving successful franchises into mainstream entities at the expense of losing a small number of vocal gamers who possess very particular tastes, then it's likely seen as a very small price to pay if the majority are quite happy with their changed direction.
There's always something with women!